Hello and welcome back. Jim Evans of Honest Jim's Wandering Shop here. This is part 4 of my talks on pirates. So what's the focus on guns for this one? So last time I was looking at small arms. When we refer to guns in this period, we are talking about cannons of various sizes. So smallest sizes would be things like this swivel cannon here, which would fire a very small ball, but would most likely be used actually for anti-personnel. And so, for example, you might have this little bag with about 20 pistol balls in it, which could be loaded all at once. You could also use langrage. Langrage is just scrap stones like flints, bent nails, things like that. Using langrage on cannons is not something gunners would approve of, as it would scratch the barrel, but they would be quite devastating against personnel on the deck of a ship. Pistol balls would be a much safer bet for the longevity of the cannon. Won't cause that sort of scratching and wear inside the barrel. But if you're short on supplies, then langrage is an option. And when you're pirates, swivel guns are found quite commonly on ships. They're fairly easy to remove and replace, so they could be used as a disposable item effectively. So langrage is quite a likely thing for them to use if they are short on other supplies. Larger cannons, well, you're generally using shot, and this would be cannonballs of appropriate sizes for the gun, of course. Now, these are not Navy ships, and the ships you're capturing are merchant ships. Again, these are ships which would have small to medium-sized cannons. So you're not going to have great big naval cannons involved, but still these would be weighty guns, and certainly a ton in weight with the carriage. It's certainly quite possible, and they're quite hard to move around and take up a lot of space on board ship. But pirates did understand the use of these, firstly as a threat, and secondly as practical tools to dismast and allow you to capture other ships. What pirates don't want to do is they don't want to be firing round shot down into the hull of the ship, where there's a chance of putting holes in which may sink the ship before they can get the cargo off and anything of value off. They also don't want to hit the powder magazine and blow the ship up potentially. So what is their target? Their target is really the rigging and the sails. So if they're pursuing a ship, firing a shot from aft right through all their sails will slow the ship down, as those cuts and tears in the sails themselves will allow the wind to spill through, and the ship will suddenly start to lose its forward motion. So round shot isn't ideal for that, but there are other options. So for example, we have a small chain shot here. This would be loaded like a ball would be, like a normal shot, but when it comes out of the cannon, the two halves will separate on the chain, giving you more area that's been damaged and destroyed by this. It's not very effective against the hull, not likely to do much to a mast unless it's large chain shot towards the top spars of the mast. There's a 6 pound there, which when you look at the top of the mast, that could do some damage up there. But going through the rigging, going through sails, these are going to cause some real damage. Bar shot. Bar shot is loaded again down the barrel, and as it comes out, it will start spinning. This is more likely to do greater damage to masts as well, but really the idea of bar shot is about the area. It's about putting bigger holes through the sails and through the rigging. Expanding bar shot is also something. I haven't got an example here, but these would just have a loop on the iron, which means the two halves can separate out to give you more coverage as it shoots out. Now, star shots, do let me know if you have more information on this. I'm not entirely certain whether star shot was around or whether it was at all common in the golden age of piracy. It certainly is around later in the 18th century, but whether it's around at this point, I don't actually know. I've been looking for references to it. But if it is around, then this will be loaded fussily down the barrel of the cannon. If you put it down this way, you're likely to have too much space between the cannon and the ball, and it's not going to come out at full speed. It might even jam in the barrel. So you want to load it this way around, and again, as it shoots out, the four parts will spread out, and again, it's creating a much bigger hole, causing more damage to rigging and sails than other shot would be. As you approach the enemy, then that's where you can use more smaller types of shots. So for example, grape shot, so several smaller balls rather than one big ball. And also, again, with the larger cannons, you could also load those with multiple pistol balls, musket balls, or even langrage if you're willing to cause some damage to your cannon. And these will be very, very lethal, firing across the decks of the ship. It's unlikely that this would be a scenario that's not going to happen. Most crews would be surrendering to the pirates long before you get to that stage, but if need be, they have got that ability. As the pirate ship comes alongside, assuming the other ship hasn't surrendered yet, in which case they'll just send boats across, most likely. But if that hasn't happened, then this is where the grappling irons come out. These will be thrown up into the rigging. They can also hook onto the sides of the ships as well, but rigging and ropes and even into the sails. And then there's been multiple grappling irons used at once, and then teams of the crew would haul the ship closer to bring it alongside and secure the prize so that they can board it more easily. When it comes to boarding, we've already mentioned small arms, so pirates would likely, if they've got access to pistols, they'd stick them in their belts, put them in holsters, attach them on slings around their necks. Cutlasses, so swords, would most likely be carried on baldricks. Yes, you can put a sword into a belt, but you're probably going to put a big hole in your leg when you try to do anything, so a scabbard really is most likely to be the thing. And in a baldric, you can easily carry your sword to the other side, use your pistols first if you've got them, and then draw your sword afterwards. Worth noting again, pirates are not expert swordsmen, sailors seldom were. This is a hacking, slashing weapon. It's quite well suited to those confined quarters. Boarding pike, this is a very short one. Normally looking about 7 or 8 feet long. The head will be slightly shorter and pointy. This one is used for combat reenactments. But this will be an effective weapon for an ill-trained sailor to use. You just shove it at the enemy. It's also the reason why jumping or swinging on a rope is unlikely as a way of getting onto another ship, because you don't want to be impaled on these things. So, once it comes to close quarter fighting, it's probably going to be over very quickly. Your pirate crew is almost certainly going to outnumber your naval crew by quite a large number, probably 10 to 1 or more. However, for that is the exact reason why you've probably surrendered quite some time earlier on. But if it comes to it, all of these things are at the pirates' disposal. Thank you very much.